Hruther is the coldest of all lands, its freezing wastes mostly inhospitable. Only those desperate enough to shepherd the woolly yaks or to work deep in the coal and gold mines live there. But Hruther has its fair share of special locations. Come explore them with me. The Flesh Pit of Golgara is a massive pit with a mysterious creature living in the bottom. People will trek for days around the pit as not to go near it and become entangled in its flesh-eating tentacles. Those who go near are rarely heard from again. Hruther is split into 5 peninsulas, each named according to their place from right to left, the smallest being the first peninsula. The 4th peninsula is the largest and most inhabited, with the 2nd and 3rd peninsulas being the northernmost of the 5. Easthorpe is one of the few civilizations of Hruther and is located on the 4th peninsula. Those of Easthorpe farm yaks, and their men are nomadic, herding the yaks all over their home peninsula. The Easthorpe live in large iron cones lined with yak pelts and tied down with colorful ropes to protect the people from the harsh sea winds. The Scars are giant ice-filled lakes that surround the great ice. Wind ravaging their faces, and fierce pillars of ice and rock rise from the surfaces and point high into the sky. The Wizard of the North was once a wizard of Drathen. After the Order's decline, the wizard journeyed northeast, taking a ship from the Horn of Fror to the south of Hruther, the land called Takurlunda by the Frostlorni. He went north, documenting the extraordinary things he saw, till he ventured past the southern range. Ice-cold winds and blinding snow pelted the wizard as he tried to find shelter, but he found none, freezing there in the ice. 3 days and 3 nights passed, and 3 odd creatures found his frozen body, huddled where he had stopped. Taking pity on the man, they called upon their ancient powers and revived the wizard from his ice-induced sleep. Offlugar, they called him, and they took him to their home, far in the north, well past the 5 peninsulas, and there built for him a tower where he now lives, researching ancient secrets and traveling amongst the Hrutheri tribes and giving aid to those who need it. The Isle of Drengr was once a part of mainland Hruther, but it was used as a burial place for the dead warriors who once ruled and protected the north. Then one day, after it had been forgotten that the dead were buried there, the warriors rose from the ground with new life and began ravaging the countryside. While on a journey to the tribes of the then 2nd Peninsula, Offlugar witnessed one such attack, and seeing the horror, he rose the sea up over the lands, destroying several cities but keeping the invincible mountain of Drengr from spewing any more of its evil on the inhabitants of Hruther. No one knows the tale of how Orif became a literal ghost town. Some believe that the ancient inhabitants once committed a despicable act and were cursed by the sorcerer in the north, or if they had been infected by the evil of Drengr before Offlugar cleansed the land of evil. But now, Orif is just an empty shell of a city, with invisible buildings that sometimes blink in and out of existence. Only the walls and streets of the city remain visible, and very few venture within the haunted walls of the ghost town. Long ago, a dragon claimed the keep of Mintney Castle as his own, stashing his treasures of gold and gems deep within his lair. The dragon patrols the land surrounding his territory often, and can be seen sitting perched atop a mountain, gazing down at the road below, ready to burn those who wander off the road with his terrible breath. Ephraim is a city built on the surface of dozens of floating icebergs. How it got there, few know. But the mayor of the city says that the records are in a book locked deep within the largest of the bergs. Have you ever heard of a forest made out of blankets? In the southwest of Hruther sits one such forest. The center of the forest is a bundle of warmth, the blanket trees and bushes keeping in the warmth that once graced Hruther oh so long ago. But no light is in the warmest part of the forest. Only the occasional light of some glowing creature can light up what is normally dark. So if you want to escape the cold, remember to bring a lantern with you. Very little can grow in the cold of Hruther, and especially forests of deciduous trees, and nothing grows near the great ice. But in the southeast of Hruther is a walled city called the Grove. In reality, only a small area of the Grove is dedicated to the city, and the rest is the warm forest of the Grove. None know how it is able to grow like it does, but only a few of the city's elite are allowed to venture beyond the walls and into the forest. Narcissus was a famed man in a faraway land who had fallen in love with himself. The rumors spread across the land, and soon he was one of the most famous alive, and that affected one of his closest friends. His name is lost to history, but fearing that he himself would become obsessed with his own figure and face, fled the land, crossing over many seas and finally landing on the fifth peninsula of Hruther, the Eithmark Horn. Obsessed with not becoming obsessed with himself, he shut himself off from the rest of the world, shutting himself within the walls of a palace he built in the fashion of his own country, and slowly went mad. The entirety of the Horn began to feel the effects of the madman, and over time transformed into a great freezing desert. Only those who are poor beyond measure or outlawed work in the mines of Willem. Turning out the best coal and the best gold, the mines work tirelessly, feasting off the work of the poor souls within the mines. But at least it's not freezing cold inside the rope bridge-lined cavern. A massive cavern sits below the Gorodskritik Mountains, and inside the cavern sits a massive city. Gondolas lead to and from the city, in through a cave that leads from the underground lake out into the cold ocean. The gondolas come out of the other side where they cross over the sea that borders the first and second peninsulas. If you're too nervous of the rope snapping of your gondola and splashing into the freezing cold water, you can always try to navigate the maze of tunnels and caves that lead from the mine entrance. Great ferocious werebears haunt the great forest to the east. The only way through alive is over the single trail that seems to be protected by some magic. Either that, or you can try to traverse the razor-sharp Mirthith Mountains, or add weeks to your journey by going north around the Cavern of Willem. Although the cities of Nio and Icethorpe are on the same peninsula, Nio is much warmer than its sister city, and that's thanks to Mount Gracious, the mountain that blesses Nio with a shield against the cold, blasting sea winds that work up from the ice-cold waters. Nio sits high on the straight face of Mount Gracious and has a legion of rope elevators that are constantly hauling people and products up and down. Along with the floating cities of the Star by the Sea and Waterguard, the floating island holding ice spikes rose the same time as the others. Offlugar, the wizard to the north of the ice spikes, has been studying the phenomenon and believes he is arriving at an earth-shattering discovery. Possibly, literally, earth-shattering. Thanks to everyone who gave suggestions for this epic map. If you want a print of it, check it out at ethanrgraham.com before it goes away. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. It means a lot. Until next time, peace. And especially forests of deciduous trees